You're listening to Psych to Parent, where we turn brain science into tiny wins at home. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, mom of two, and endurance athlete. I love a good data set and a diagnostic manual. But I also forget permission slips, overthink IEP emails, and occasionally replay the moment I snapped at my kids in the car. In other words, I'm in the messy middle with you, not above it. This show is for parents of big feeling, big thinking kids who are tired of vague advice and Pinterest perfect behavior charts. Each episode, I'll pull back the curtain on what I see in real evaluations, school meetings, my private practice, and my own kitchen, and translate the research into simple scripts, tiny routines, and nervous system friendly tweaks you can actually use. Think of it as a nervous system rehab meets mindset coaching meets a smart, slightly spicy, non-judgy friend in your earbuds. We'll take one real life challenge at a time and shrink it down into 1 or 2 tiny wins you can start this week. No perfection, no 47-step sticker systems, just small, repeatable shifts that add up over time. Quick legal-ish note in plain English. This podcast is for education and support. It's not therapy, it does not create a clinical relationship, and it's not a substitute for personalized medical or mental health advice. If you're worried about your child's safety or mental health, or your own, please reach out to a trusted professional. Okay, deep breath, drop your shoulders. You're not behind and you're not alone. Let's get psyched to parent. Okay, picture this. It's mid-morning on a Wednesday. We're 2 full no camp days into summer. We've been home, we've done activities, we've done the let's make summer magical kind of thing. And I already feel like I need a weekend, except it's not even Thursday yet. I'm trying to record podcast episodes. I'm trying to be in my adult brain, and the TV has been on way too much. And there's this pile of school-required summer stuff hovering in my brain like a tiny angry cloud. Reading, answering questions, online programs, math facts, the kind of tasks that sound reasonable on paper and in real life can turn into a daily standoff between me and my kids. And I'm doing that thing where I ask the same thing over and over and over again because I'm trying to keep it calm and kind. Like, hey, can you start reading? Hey, can you start your summer work? Hey, can you just begin? And I'm met with that full body, dramatic, completely sincere protest from my kid. I don't want to. Why are you making me do this? It's summer. I'm not doing work. And I have this very specific urge to go hide in my laundry room and eat a Girl Scout cookie like a raccoon with a secret. If this is your house right now, welcome. You're not alone. And that exact moment is why we need a plan that doesn't rely on willpower, because willpower is not renewable energy. Welcome back to Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, school psychologist, parent coach, and mom of 2 big-hearted, big-feeling, big-brain kiddos. In this episode, we're talking about summer slide without worksheets, and we're doing it in a way that feels like real life, not like summer school at home with better weather. Now, here's my promise to you. If you have bright kids who get bored fast, if starting is the battle, if screen transitions make everything stickier, and if you're tired of repeating yourself until your voice gets that tight edge to it, this episode is for you, my friend. I'm going to give you 3 routines that actually stick, and they protect 3 things we care about over summer: reading and learning, regulation and nervous system steadiness, executive functioning, and independence. And here's the phrase I want you to keep in your pocket all episode. I'm going to repeat it because it's the whole point. Short reps beat big fights. Before I hand you the routines, let's name why summer gets messy so you stop thinking it's a character flaw in your kid or you. Now, summer is supposed to feel easier, right? There's no lunches, no folders, car lines, no school emails, hopefully. And sometimes it is. But for a lot of families, summer gets messy fast because the structure that was holding your kid all year has suddenly disappeared. And then everyone's brain is scanning for signposts all day. What are we doing? What's next? Can I have a snack? Can I have a screen? I want to use my iPad. I'm bored. And parents end up being the operating system. You become the calendar, the snack department, the camp director, the screen time judge, the fun coordinator, the person who knows where the goggles are, whether the sunscreen is expired, and why someone is crying because you suggested going outside. And for many families, the messy part comes down to 3 predictable friction points. First, starting. Starting is hard when the task is vague. Do your summer work is vague. Go read is vague. Vague feels like a foggy hill for a lot of kids. Number 2, boredom and repetition. Bright kids often resist, not because they can't do it, but because the version of it they're being asked to do is repetitive and low meaning. Bright kids can smell, quote, busy work from across the house. And number 3 is screen transitions. Screens are immersive. They're sticky, and stopping mid-episode or mid-game can feel like falling off a cliff. So our plan is not try harder. Our plan is not be stricter. Our plan is going to be make it startable, make it visible, and make it end. Because again, short reps beat big fights. So let me give you the simple framework first, and then we'll build the 3 routines inside of it. All right, here's the framework. I want you to picture as a loop you can run most days in some tiny version in your own house. Buckle, body, book, then screens. Let me translate those 3 words into real parent life. Buckle. Buckle is your life skills and executive function reps bucket. It's the small responsibilities that help your child practice start, do, finish. It also gets the plan out of your head so you're not carrying everything by yourself. Buckle is not chores for character. Buckle is we're practicing the skills you need for school and life. Number 2 is body. Body is regulation, movement, outside time, state change. For many kids, the body has to shift before the brain can cooperate. Number 3 is book. Book is reading and learning, but we're doing it in a way that doesn't create daily battles and doesn't turn your kitchen table into a classroom. Now here's the magic move, especially for strong-willed kids and kids who like control. Instead of negotiating whether it happens, you say, before screens, we do 3 things. Buckle, body, book. You pick the order. Choice inside of the structure. And I want you to notice how that changes the energy. You're not deciding 15 times a day whether reading is happening. You're setting a predictable container. And I'm going to say it again because it's our theme for the summer. Short reps beat big fights. Okay, now that you have the framework, we're going to do one quick set up once move so you're not narrating the whole day like you're a tour guide. If your plan lives only in your head, your child experiences it as random rolls and sudden limits, and you experience it as repeating yourself until you feel snappy. So we're going to do one tiny setup that changes everything. Make the plan visible. Here's what you need: a sticky note or a mini whiteboard, a timer, your phone counts, and one home-based spot where the plan always lives. Fridge, counter, clipboard. And your kid should be able to look at these 3 things. Number 1, what to do. 2, when it's done. And 3, what happens next. Because here's the thing. Vague creates fights. Clear creates reps. And for bright kids, especially, clarity matters. A clear, short routine is easier to tolerate than a long, fuzzy expectation. All right, let's talk about the book routine first, because reading is usually the headline requirement and the biggest friction point I hear in my practice. Now, reading is a common summer requirement, and I'm not anti-reading requirements. I get it. Personally, I love to read. It's the one thing in my house where I love it because between my 2 kids and my husband, I am never accused of hiding the TV clicker to turn it on and whatnot because I don't watch television. Like literally, I do not watch television. I would rather read a book on my Kindle. I would rather listen to a podcast. Honestly, what usually happens is I usually end up watching the news when I'm at the gym at like 5 a.m., really debating my life choices and why I thought signing up for endurance events was a good idea because, running 30 miles is super fun. But it's really cool? Being a push athlete for the Run Disney Dopey Challenge in 2027 for the Kyle Peace Foundation. Yeah, that's really cool. That's worth it. I just don't know how much I like my life choices at 5 a.m. But I'm also not caffeinated, so it's kind of okay, right? I don't usually start drinking my cherry Coke Zeros until about 9:30 in the morning. Anyway, I'm sure you wanted to hear this about me. But anyway, I digress. ADHD is kicking in for me today. So here's the thing. When it comes to the book routine, when we want our kids to read and respond before they can use the screen, it often has to do with how we frame it with our kids, because that can oftentimes create a daily standoff or make it something that our kids can do. So here's your book routine. It has a finish line. Read and respond before screens. Here's your cue before screens. And I want to say something important about cues. Cues make routines automatic. If you're trying to do reading at 4:30 when everyone is fried and hungry and you're already irritated, that is not the moment to introduce a new routine. Before screens is a strong cue because it's predictable and it uses less motivation in a sane way. So step 1, read for 20 minutes. Or for kids who do better with a concrete finish line, 1 chapter or 10 pages. This reduces fighting because it answers, when is it over? Step 2, respond. Draw a picture from what you read. Use at least 3 to 4 colors, write 5 sentences. And the 5 sentences can rotate so it doesn't feel like the same assignment forever. Maybe it's main idea, favorite part and why, prediction, a new word, a question you might have from what you read, how it connects to your life as a kid. Maybe answering the question, if you were the character, what would you do next? You're keeping it structured, but not dead inside. Now here's what counts. This is where so many fights live, so let's make it easier. Graphic novels count, magazines count, cookbooks count, sports articles count, game guides count, audiobooks count, audiobooks plus a printed copy counts. You're not running a reading log morality contest. You are keeping the reading pathway warm. For example, let me tell you about my house. It might be something where I tell my kiddo, you need to read 10 pages of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Draw the funniest scene using 3 colors. Then write 3 to 5 sentences about who, where, what happened, your favorite part, and a prediction for what will happen next. Done. Here's a second example for kids who resist writing. You might say, read 10 pages, draw the scene, then dictate the 5 sentences, and your child only writes the first word of each sentence, or writes 2 sentences for the first week. Sometimes when there's resistance, we have to look at it as an indication that we need to lower our expectations as a parent so our kids can experience success. I think this is one of the hard things I see as a school psychologist is that a lot of times when kids are hesitant or resistant to completing academic tasks, it can be a motivation issue. It can also be a demand or task, what it's asking the child to do. Sometimes it feels too hard and we lower the load a little bit for them. And that's not letting them get away with it because our goal is for kids to have success. Again, short reps beat big fights. As a school psychologist and as a mom, I'm going to tell this to you. If I can hear that you have spent 10 minutes every day reading with your kid consistently throughout the summer, that is a massive win. I usually like to talk about tiny wins, but that to me is a massive win. Like, not only should your kid get a gold star and like the pizza from Pizza Hut for completing the Book It challenge for the summer, like I think as a parent, you get like 1,000,000 gold stars for that because that is awesome. The short reps have payoffs. And so we want our kids to have that success versus having to fight every step of the way, every time you ask them to do something. And the cool thing is, once we build those reps in and we have that rhythm and routine to it, kids can predict it. They know what's expected of them. It becomes a little bit easier as we continue with that repetition. And we can increase the demands of what we're asking them to do as they experience success. That's a win. That's a tiny win. That's huge. That's what I want to see. Remember, we're building reps. We're not suffering. Now, here's an example I think about for middle school, because middle school can be a little bit different. If your middle schooler has required online reading or math programs, we don't just say finish it. We might say something like 2 sprints. Sprint 1 is 10 minutes. Sprint 2 is 10 minutes. Your goal is not completion today. Your goal is start and a checkpoint. Because again, consistency beats heroic one-time efforts. And honestly, my friend, nothing is worse in my mind than knowing we go into August, school starts in a week, and your kid has 2 chapter books to read or 130 math questions to complete, and you're fighting and white knuckling to get all that done. And there's tears, disagreements, and fights over it. It's easier to get it done a little bit at a time. Oftentimes, what I see with kids is the starting problem. So we want to have on-ramps that work. If starting is the biggest friction point in your house, here are on-ramps that work. For example, we can say something like, start with one page. When you hit the bottom, decide one more page or switch to the audiobook. You can say something like, start for 2 minutes. I'll sit near you while you start. Then I'll peel off. Or you can say, show me the first step. You don't have to finish it right now. You just have to start. And if your child says, this is stupid, you can calmly say, fair. You don't have to love this. You have to do a tiny rep. Because say it with me, short reps beat big fights. Once the book pathway is worn, we add body because a dysregulated kid can't access their good brain consistently. The body routine is outside first, and that helps with the state change. Now, this is not fitness. This is not burn off energy. This is a state change. Summer is full of screen time, inconsistent sleep, transitions, and what are we doing today energy. So we build in regulation on purpose. Outside first. Here's the cue. After breakfast or early afternoon, our goal is 30 minutes of outside time or movement. And I want to say this clearly. Sitting outside with a snack counts. We're not training for the Olympics. We're getting daylight and movement into the system. Here's some things that count. Going to the park, swimming in the pool, bike rides, sidewalk chalk, backyard play, walking the dog, jumping on a trampoline. If it's too hot outside, like it is in Florida, do outside earlier in the day and then inside later in the day. Things that count inside for body movement can be things like having a dance party, wall push-ups, animal walks, carry the laundry basket challenge. Maybe there's a quick YouTube yoga or stretching video we watch. And for bright kids who get bored fast, here's the trick. We don't throw away the routine. We turn the novelty dial one click. So it might be something like, today outside is chalk plus music, or today outside is bikes to the mailbox and back, or today outside is a scavenger hunt. Find something red, something soft, and something weird. Same cue, same duration, with a little tiny twist to it. All right, here's a parent script you can borrow from me, especially when kids want to debate having to go outside and move their bodies. Outside first. Pick your outside. Now we're going to add the part that makes the whole day smoother and lowers your mental load. The buckle routine is where kids get their executive functioning reps in. Buckle is the responsibility rep. This is where you stop being the only person who remembers everything. And just to be clear, buckle is not, I want a spotless house. Buckle is, I want my kid to practice executive function skills in real life. Executive functioning is things like starting, planning, sequencing, finishing, remembering, shifting gears, doing boring things on purpose. That's school. That's adulthood. That's life. Now, here's something that I think is really cool that I love to use all the time in my practice is sticky notes. Write 2 to 3 tiny jobs on a sticky note or a small chart. Kids do those jobs before the preferred thing. Keep them tiny and time-bound. Maybe it's feed the pet, wipe counters, unload silverware, take out the bathroom trash, a 5-minute room reset with a timer, start laundry, bring the basket downstairs, pack camp bag using a checklist. Now notice with this, notice how this solves the vague problem. Help around the house is vague. Wipe the counter is not vague. Here's a parenting script you can use and say with your kids. Check the sticky note. When those are done, you get the fun thing. If your child protests and says something like, it's summer, why do I have to do chores? You calmly say, this isn't punishment. This is part of being in a family. Pick which one you want to start first. Choice inside structure. And again, short reps beat big fights. Now that we have buckle, body, book, we can talk about screens in a way that doesn't make you feel like the fun police. Now, I will say this. I don't think screens are the enemy. Screens are a reality. Screens are also sticky. So our plan is not no screens. Our plan is screens get a container. Now here's the container. Screens happen after buckle, body, book. Not as a punishment, as priority. Because here's the truth. Once your kid starts using a screen, it's harder for many kids to shift into less preferred tasks. Now here's the second part. Screens end with a bridge, not a surprise. Here are some natural endpoints. Like if it's TV, it's the end of the episode. Maybe if they're playing a video game, you might say end of the round, save the point. And when it comes to what we say as we're kind of helping kids end, we want to give them some cues. So you can say something like, you have 5 minutes, 1 minute. When the timer goes off, you can turn it off or I can help you. For games, you might say something like, finish the round, save it, plug it in, and we're done. Now, if your child melts down, that doesn't automatically mean your boundary is wrong. It might mean stopping is a skill that needs reps. Let's do 2 quick real life scenarios because I want you to hear what this sounds like when your kid is not in the mood. Here's scenario number 1. I'm not reading. It's summer. You might say, reading happens before screens, and we're keeping our voice boring, neutral. We can say something like, you can read with your eyes, your ears, or with me. Pick the version you'd like to do today. If they stall, you could say, start with 1 page. When you hit the bottom, decide 1 more page or I'll read with you. If your kid complains, you can say, fair. You don't have to love it. This is a tiny rep. Scenario number 2, I can't stop my game. You can say, I know stopping is hard. That's why we have a plan. Timer, warning, natural endpoint. Finish the round, save it, plug it in, and we're done. And if they melt, I'm here. You're safe, and we're still done. Short reps, not big fights. And one more thing, because this is a part that sneaks up on families every single year, and it's the reason short reps matter so much. Okay, let's talk about the end of year big project problem. A lot of kids, especially in elementary and middle school, get handed these big summer assignments at the end of the school year. Sometimes it's a book that has to be finished. Sometimes it's a reading log with notes. Sometimes it's a project that's due when they come back in September. Sometimes it's know your multiplication facts cold. And you're thinking, that's a lot of facts, but we have time. And here's the trap. Summer starts and it feels so far away that you don't worry about it because you're doing summer things. Playing with friends, swimming, being outside. The routine gets off the school routine. The summer routine shifts from what the school routine has been. Because of course it does. And suddenly it's August or the week before school starts and you realize we still need to read a 200-page book. We still need to write the notes. We still need to finish the online program. We still need those math facts from 0 to 12. And now you're not doing summer learning, you're doing summer emergency management. That is why I keep saying short reps beat big fights. 10 minutes a day doesn't ruin summer. It doesn't turn your house into a classroom, but it builds momentum. It keeps the pathway for learning warm. So this is a piece I want you to make sure you can say to your own children. We're not doing this because it's urgent today. We're doing it so it doesn't become urgent later. The other thing that helps here, especially for kids who struggle with time, planning, and future thinking, is making summer visible. Because September, it's abstract, even for bright kids. Put June, July, and honestly August too if you want on a calendar where kids can see it. Kitchen, fridge, command center. Then add tiny milestones. Halfway through the book by this date. Finish chapters 1 through 3 by this date. 0s, 1s, and 2s multiple this date. 2 online sessions per week marked on the calendar. Reading response done on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This is 2 things. It makes the work predictable instead of a surprise. It turns the giant end of summer task into small checkpoints your child can actually grasp. And then add micro celebrations. Not because we're bribing, but because we're reinforcing the process. Celebrate the reps. Choose dessert. Pick dinner, extra pool time, a movie night. You pick the playlist. We celebrate the reps, and we can say to our kids, we celebrate the reps, not just the finish line. Okay, so now that we've got a plan for the long projects and a way to make them visible, let's talk about the days you're fried. Because we need a version of this that works when you're running on fumes too. This is what I call a minimum viable day. This counts. This is not failing. This is being a human. It can be something like 5 minutes of reading or listening, 3 minutes for body, 2-minute helper job, and that's it. Warm beats perfect. And sometimes we need a weekly reset. Once a week, ask 3 questions. What worked? What felt wonky? What are we trying next week? It's not an overhaul. It's a reset because short reps beat big fights. Okay, let's land this with a quick recap and 3 favors. Let's talk tiny wins. Remember, pick one is enough. Tiny win number 1, run buckle, body, book before screens 1 day this week, just one. Tiny win number 2, make reading startable. Maybe it's reading 1 chapter or 10 pages, not telling our kids, go read. Tiny win number 3, use a 2-minute on-ramp for starting a task, especially a task that might feel tricky for our kids to get started on their own. Tiny win number 4, put 2 chores on a sticky note and time them. Tiny win number 5, use a landing script for screens so it's not a surprise ending. And tiny win number 6, add 1 calendar checkpoint between now and the start of the school year so August does not become chaos. All right, 3 favors, my friends. Before you go, I have 3 favors to ask of you if you find this episode helpful. Favor number 1, leave a review for the Psych to Parent podcast wherever you like to listen and subscribe. Reviews help so more tired parents can find the show. Favor number 2, share this episode with a friend, maybe the friend who is repeating themselves about screens and summer work. Favor number 3, did you miss the live workshop called Summer Without the Spiral? You can still get the replay. Summer Without the Spiral is an online parent workshop to help you build a simple summer rhythm for learning, play, screens, and sanity. You'll get access to the workshop replay plus the Summer Command Center, a printable guide to help you make expectations visible, reduce daily negotiations, and choose one tiny win your family can actually use. No perfect plan required. Just a little more clarity, a little more rhythm, and a plan you can return to when summer gets wonky. It's linked in the show notes. Okay, take a deep breath. Let's close this in a way you can carry it into your week. So it's mid-morning on a Wednesday. The TV has been on too long. Your bright kid is saying it's summer like it's a legal defense, and you're considering hiding in the laundry room with a cookie. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a return to rhythm. Buckle, body, book. Short reps that repeat. 10 minutes here and there adds up. And it keeps you from cramming a 200-page book into a miserable August weekend. Make it startable. Make it visible. Make it end. Chapter or 10 pages, not go read. 2 sprints, not finish the whole program. 2 or 3 tiny jobs on a sticky note, not a chart that dies by Thursday. Natural endpoints for screens and a landing script so you're not pulling your kid off a cliff mid-round. Calendar checkpoints so we have time doesn't turn into panic. And when it gets wonky, you don't scrap the plan. You run the minimum viable day and call it a win. Because short reps beat big fights. And the next time you sit at that tiny round table in that tiny chair, remember, schools have expertise and you are the expert on your child. Your insight is not extra, it's essential. You're not behind, you're building a partnership, and you're building skills. Yours and theirs. One small, doable step at a time. Until next time, my friends. Thank you for hanging out with me on Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, and I'm genuinely glad you're here doing this work instead of quietly white-knuckling it and blaming yourself. Your tiny win from today's episode is simple. Do not overhaul your entire parenting style. Pick one idea, one sentence, or one tiny shift and try it in a low-stakes moment this week. Then notice what changes, even if it is just by 1%. If you want more support, head over to psych2parent.com. You'll find show notes, simple scripts, and parent-friendly guides that go with these episodes. While you're there, make sure you join the Tiny Wins mailing list so you get weekly brain-based tips, real-life examples from my work with families, and first dibs on new workshops and resources. It's the easiest way for us to stay connected beyond the podcast. If this podcast was helpful, it really does matter when you tap follow or subscribe. Leave a quick review or text it to a friend who is parenting a big-feeling, big-hearted kid too. This podcast is for education and encouragement. It is not therapy, and it's not a substitute for individualized care. If you're worried about your child or yourself, please reach out to a trusted professional in your area. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are building something new, one tiny win at a time. I'll see you in the next episode, probably with a cold coffee in hand, cheering you on.